Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey everyone, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessTrader.com nightly wrap-up show. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody had a good trading session. Guys, do me a favor, take a second out. I know I ask this every night, but again, it's literally a tenth of a second of your time. If you like what we're doing and it's bringing you value, all I ask is click a like, share, subscribe, and all that other stuff people tell me to do, and hopefully I can provide the necessary, necessary serum, truth serum to what's happening in the market, or the market that we have, not the market that we want. So let's go back, right? We go back. So we had our really, really intense Friday engulfing session, followed by yesterday's gap up on no news is good news. We flatlined the whole day. We talked about in last night's video how there was absolutely no response from China. Last night, after I recorded the video, obviously, because everything happens after I record the video. So after I recorded the video, you saw news that China came out and said that they are willing to do whatever it takes. Basically, to paraphrase, they'll do whatever it takes. They're willing to fight to the end. And, initially, everything was up, right? Initially, I'm looking at the news and I go, wait a minute, they're saying some really aggressive stuff. And the futures, the SPYs were up about $1.50 last night. The Qs were up a little less than $2. And I'm like, wow, this is great, right? This is absolutely great. The fact that, the market's not getting just completely imploding on this news is phenomenal. I wake up this morning, Nasdaq's down 300 points. Talk about a delay reaction. So that was the bad news, right? That was the bad news. We knew eventually there was going to be some sort of retaliatory talk, or at least response. We got that response. And now the question was this morning was, well, were we going to confirm last Friday's lows, right? Because that's the most important part, the whole engulfing candle. Or are the bulls capable? Okay, were they capable of getting off the mat, defending previous levels, and start grinding higher? Honestly, both things happened. Okay, and that's the most incredible part about today's session. The volatility was there. We talked about it. Starting from the weekend update, we talked about it. Continuation. How again, I'm literally trading channels. I traded Tesla today on a bounce, the upside, which Trump kind of screwed the trade in the afternoon. It was up a couple of points in the trade, and I sold 75% of position. Trump, I'm not disappointed in Spain. I shorted Tesla in the morning. They held the bottom ranges. We shorted some PLTR. PLTR broke down last Friday's lows. It was a really good move. Came really, really aggressively down before it reversed. We'll get to the pivots in a second. NVIDIA got smoked in the morning. I still have some thoughts there. Amazon got smoked in the morning. So we were prepared for the downside channels. Again, that's kind of what we were talking about, the value. And the most important part after that emotional open, stocks started going higher. They actually started waking up. And, a name like PLTR that went from like 70, literally 79, traded all the way back to 83. Really nice move, $5 move off its lows. Even Amazon, that got blasted. And congratulations for all you guys who caught Amazon. We talked about Amazon the last couple of days, getting below this 150-day moving average. Amazon got smoked, went down like $4 at the open. And, despite it being still down $3 for the day, $3+ in the day, had a really nice spike off the open. At one point, Tesla was what the lows are here, 417. At one point, there was like $17 off its lows, $16 off its lows. And I can't this close of having this thing expand if Trump didn't start making negative soybean, talk about Chinese not buying soybeans. God knows what the hell is on his mind. Disappointing in Spain. They always get these headlines after 2 o'clock to kind of destroy this trade. But the most important part is where we are. And that's kind of where I want to lead off this video. If you notice here, I'm going to show you a 60-minute view of the Qs, right? So here's a 60-minute view of the Qs. Why couldn't the market excel today despite the move off the bottom? Because you see all these lines. A lot of people can look at me and say, you have too many lines. No, I don't have enough lines, right? For all you guys who have been trading with me, who have followed me for years, you kind of know what's what, right? You see how the reason why I can't go higher, all these lines represent supply, right? Unnecessary lines that represents supply, right? You see how it keeps on getting rejected. I'm even going to tell you the price, right? You see how it keeps on getting rejected at 603? It got rejected at 603 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times today. Today's high was also like 602.69. So this 63 level is a massive, massive level of supply, and it's been rejected now back-to-back area. Guys, that is the price, right? That is the price. That price discovery has been pretty much met, rejected 4 or 5 times. For the bulls to go back up, to kind of forget about this whole continuation of the tariff talks that started all the way back in March and April, for the bulls to wake up, the only number you need to know is 603 on the Qs. That's it, right? You don't need to worry about, we need to worry about 601, 600, 597, right? 603. Any close above 603, the bulls are back in business and Christmas is back on, right? Again, there's a flip side to that. The fact that we couldn't price improve today, the fact that we couldn't get back above the 10-day, and by the way, the 603 level represents the 10-day moving average. And again, back-to-back rejections at the 10-day moving average. And today was also the 10 and the 5. So again, not really a good thing to do. But now here's the problem. Here's the flip side. This is a lower close than yesterday's channel, still above Friday's lows. So the line in the sand for the bulls, I guess for bears as well, right, is going to be last Friday's lows of 589. So you have 603 to the upside, 589 to the downside. These are macro levels, right? It doesn't mean the market can't function in an organic way in between the lines, right? They tell you color in between the lines as a kid. So you're going to have opportunity in between. However, if you want the whole scoreboard to line up in the same direction, whether it's going to be green or it's going to be red, it has to be above 603 to the upside and it has to be below 589 to the downside. What's our problem, right? Problem is we're in the middle of their channels, okay? So we closed at 598. So we are obviously about $10, $11 away from those Friday's lows, but now we're still $5 away from yesterday's highs. What is a person to do? Well, I'm telling you what I've been doing, right? I've been trading channels, right? I've been literally trading channels, long, short, I've been trading channels. I've been picking my spots, but I've been trading channels. And the most important part is what we're seeing is the longer we go sideways, which is good, right? Which is absolutely good. The longer we go sideways, the more attention that we kind of embrace and more headlines that we embrace, eventually one of those two channels will confirm, right? And will give us a really big expansion macro day. But until that happens, we obviously have to turn to our attention to individual charts. Where am I finding my value for the next couple of days? Well, it's hard for me to look at anything to the upside. I get it, right? I get it. These rare earth stocks are still going absolutely nuts. We talked about MP last night. These quantum names are still going nuts, right? That's not my bag, baby, right? As the Austin Powers so famously said, that's not my bag. That might be your bag. It's not my bag, right? So I got to find my bag. I got to find, the most important part of trading is be comfortable in your skin, not somebody else's. So the idea that RGTI is still strong and MP is running, it has nothing to do with me, right? Nothing to do with me. So I have to find my own value. Where's my value? I'm going to share to you where my value is. So let's talk about some charts. So by the way, Fed Powell, I totally forgot about it. Didn't really make a difference. But Fed Powell suggested today more tightening could end soon, opens their doors up for more rate cuts. We kind of knew that already because that's what they said in the last meeting, potentially a couple of more cuts. So again, they keep on reiterating the same thing over and over and over again just to hear themselves talk because obviously, again, they get paid by the word. So let's talk about where my value is. Let's talk about it, right? Look at the semiconductor stocks. Why do I say the semiconductor stocks? Because they're not rallying. AMD had a nice pop today on some news, gave a move above the pre-market highs of like 20, whatever the hell it was, 21 and a half, gave a move, we traded all the way up to 25, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? AMD, for all the strength, right? What happened? Right? Look what happened. AMD, for all the strength, gave it all the way back and only up $1. Now look at the rest of the semiconductor names, right? Let's talk about them. Look at SMCI, right? Look at SMCI. SMCI never rallied. Didn't rally yesterday on the big move back. Didn't rally today. Guys, watch Friday's lows. If it can get it below Friday's lows, this thing can get hacked, right? Look at this chart. I mean, this is rolling over back-to-back days, lower highs off the 5-day. And if it starts losing Friday's channel, it can get hit. Look at a name, for example, like Marvel. These are all semis, right? These are all semis. This is literally the exactly same setup over and over again. Same thing, back-to-back days, rejected off the 5-day moving average. It stopped right at Friday's lows. So that, again, 2 out of the last 3 days stopped at Friday's lows. This thing starts losing Friday's lows. I am very, very interested. Look at a name like, I'm going to save the best for last in a second, well, at least potential. So A-Lab, another semi name, got absolutely smashed today. Lost the 50-day moving average, went through like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different support zones. You know, I'm going to watch this thing. Look, is it possible it has an inside day tomorrow and starts dead cat bouncing? Sure. But I will be watching it below today's channel. If this thing loses today's channel, there's more room all the way to the downside. And if you think you can't go lower, look at the rally this thing had. So it definitely has room to the downside. So we're watching that as well. Robinhood, right? Robinhood apparently a couple of days ago got back to their old tricks. If you guys remember going back to the GameStop days, it didn't let people buy stocks. Well, apparently, from what I understand, and again, I don't have a Robinhood account, but from what I understand, they kind of stopped letting people buy stocks a couple of days ago, and they're starting to get a little bit punished. So you can see what happened in the last couple of days. It lost Friday's low, and then yesterday I was short the stock. Did okay with it, right? And it lost yesterday's channel, and it stopped right on the 20-day moving average. If Robinhood starts losing the 20-day moving average tomorrow, it has room all the way down to 2870s, which is its next support zone. Guys, look at NVIDIA, right? We had a nice pivot today on NVIDIA below the Friday's low. And here's my point about Friday's low. You see what happens when a stock loses Friday's low, right? And this is why SMCI, this is all these stocks that I talked about a second ago are setting up that way. Marvel, SMCI, right? So NVIDIA lost Friday's low and stopped right at the 50-day moving average. Should I continue? Right? Does everybody knows what happened if the stock confirms the 50-day moving average? Well, if you don't, you'll figure it out really quick if you're long. I will be watching video, right? Does it mean it's going to confirm tomorrow and absolutely die? Nothing means nothing, or anything means anything. Pardon my French, right? Nothing or anything needs to happen, but that is the way it's setting up. Any close below the 50-day moving average, the stock will get hit. Again, most basic thing in technical analysis, has nothing to do about the PS60 theory. And by the way, if you are interested in pivots, I know a lot of you guys have come aboard recently. You kind of see what is what. There's nothing random here. If you are interested, again, guys, all it takes is 30 days to kind of break away from the normal. If you are interested, link below. But below the 50-day moving average is a sell signal. Above the 50-day moving average is a buy signal. And right now, NVIDIA is holding on to the 50-day moving average. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And last but not least is Tesla. So here we are, right? So Tesla's kind of not here nor there. It's gotten rejected back-to-back days on the 5-day moving average, obviously just like everything else. So that's not really standing out. What's standing out is the options market and the betting that it's seeing. And hear me out for a second. So yesterday we saw millions of dollars coming in for the weekly 410 puts. We also saw a monster buyer come in, right? A dude came in for the November 450 calls for $14.4 million. Something has to give, right? Something has to give. The problem is, right, we are about $6, $7 away from yesterday's channel to the upside, and we are probably about $11 to the downside of today's channel. So we're kind of stuck in the range. Hopefully, the longer Tesla goes sideways, just like everything else, the higher probability everything wakes up in one direction. The worst thing you could possibly have in the trading business, again, that doesn't make a difference how you trade, is the Christmas tree effect. What does that mean? It means half the stocks are green, half the stocks are red. We want them to all be green, or you want them to all be red, or else there's something called, which everybody knows, it's called the chop. Some other names I'm definitely watching in the next couple of days. Apple, oh my God, if the Apple loses its 34-day EMA, boy, oh Lord, right? So there's a lot of stocks that look like that. Microsoft, they all look like that, right? Microsoft, they all look like that, right? Last Friday's lows is pretty much the line in the sand for many, many names. Any stock that lost it today is obviously in a lot more trouble than the rest of them. But the most important part right now, let's see how the continuous flow of China U.S. trade wars go. And eventually, just like we did the last time, eventually after a week or so of violent moves, we start going tone deaf and the natural market will take place. So game plan is set. We're ready for action. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see where the options market is betting. And with God's help, I will see you all in the field. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.